right.
All right, we are recording.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here. I'm Tony Schireman, and I'll be your host for this event. First off, our sincere thanks to all of you for attending and to all of you that have helped to make this meeting possible. We're thankful to be supported by the team at Ag Association Management Services, Inc., or AAMSI, who help manage the operations of the Western region. And a special thanks to Alex Stubblefield, who serves as the executive administrator. Her efforts have helped us coordinate countless meetings of the executive committee for this event, as well as more to come. Thanks for all your support, Alex. All right. For all of our current members and even those of you who aren't yet members, this is the first run of the IPPS Western Region Micromeeting online event. Both the Western region and many of you have been impacted over the past year and a half. While the restrictions on events led to the cancellation of both the 2020 and 2021 in-person meetings, we wanted to find a way to reconnect with all of you during this period. Other regions of IPPS have been creating these types of online events with great success. All of us on the Western Region Executive Committee wanted to bring those same online meeting benefits to our members here. One part of our annual meeting that members have looked forward to is the silent auction. This is where supportive sponsors contribute items to IPPS, allow members to bid on those items, and the proceeds go to the Western region to support the organization. Thanks to generous donations from our members and supporting vendors, we're happy to bring this auction into the online world for this year. I'd like to give you all a quick preview of some of the items up for bidding, as well as the sponsors of those items. Without the generous support of these sponsors and members like you, IPPS would not be able to continue its mission to seek and to share. First off, a special thanks to Microplant Nursery for their generous donation that covered the costs of running this auction online. This limited time event begins today, September 21st, in just a few hours at 5 p.m. Pacific time. This event will run for 1 week until September 28th at 5 p.m. There's tons of awesome items to bid on, including plants, propagation trays, gift baskets, gift cards, and more. Our list of great companies that have donated to support us include BioSafe, Carmen's Nursery, Fall Creek, Four Winds Nursery, Fourth Corner Nursery, Microplant, OBC, Protea USA, Sound Horticulture, Stewie & Sons, TNR Lumber, TO Plastics, and Qualitree. If you'd like to support IPPS without bidding on an item, the website also has a donate button where you can contribute money directly towards the organization. Thanks again to all of our sponsors who support the IPPS mission and our members. We want to let you know that if you're interested in any of these items, that your bidding and support will help us continue our work into the future. If you know of anyone that might be interested in the items, please pass along the auction information so that they can see all the incredible items available. We'll post a link to the auction in the chat shortly. If you don't see the link to the auction, please mention it and we'll be happy to help. On another topic, for those of you who receive it, our newsletters have gotten an upgrade thanks to AAMSI. In addition to the beautiful new format, they're packed with regional and international industry news, upcoming events, and high-quality job postings. To receive the newsletters, please make sure your membership is up to date or join today if you're not yet a member. If you want to include your job postings in the newsletter, please get in touch with any of the IPPS executive team members or Alex. It's also my pleasure to announce to you all here that we've made plans for the 2022 IPPS Western Region annual meeting in Portland, Oregon. While we're still about a year away from the event, now's a great time to add it to your calendar. The dates for this meeting will be October 11th through October 15th. We're looking forward to seeing you all in person for the fantastic tours and talks that you all know and love. While several of the tours are still being planned, the hotel venue will be at the Wilsonville, Oregon Holiday Inn. This puts us in a great location to have easy access to all the areas we'd like to tour. Please keep an eye out for the registration details as we finish up the full itinerary for the meeting. Well, now let's get to it. We've got 3 great videos to share with you today from Linnaea Nursery, TreeSource, and Utah State University graduate student Asmita Paudel. As we go through the videos, post any questions you have in the chat. Please only use the chat for questions so that during Q&A times, it's easy to find and answer them. Our first video is a fantastic talk by Asmita Paudel in the Department of Plant, Soils, and Climate. Let's go.
Hello everyone, I'm Asmita Paudel, a PhD student from Utah State University. The title of my presentation is Pinyon Pine Grafting, New Approach for Pine Knot Production. Pine knot production in the United States is very low compared to worldwide production. Although demand in the United States market for pine knots continues to grow, it imports 23% of all exported pine knots worldwide. The current high market value for pine knots justifies their consideration as a cultivated crop. Pinus edulis is a double-needle pinyon pine which is native to Intermountain West. Pinus edulis become mature and in full cone production from 25 to 100 years. Similarly, Pinus monophylla is a single-needle pinyon pine which is native to Great Basin area. It becomes mature and full cone production from 35 to 100 years. On the other hand, it has been reported that Pinus monophylla grafting on Pinus edulis rootstock produced cones in 8 to 10 years. Grafting superior producing accessions of pinyon pine onto seedling rootstock could result in high producing trees without the genetic variability of seedling plants. A study was conducted at Utah State University to propagate superior producing Pinus monophylla accessions by sideways grafting on Pinus edulis seedlings, which resulted in a success rate of nearly 80%. To further optimize the process, we conducted few more experiments on 2020 and 2021. Cyan woods were collected from Box Elder County. Current season's growth was taken as this facilitated easier grafting. 3 superior producing trees were selected for scion collections: tree 1, 3, and 4. 3 most productive trees for stand were selected for use in grafting. Trees were 50 to 60 years old and 5 to 7 meters tall. We used sideways method for grafting. For sideways grafting, Pinus edulis rootstock preparation was done firstly. Some of the needles were cleaned and long shallow cut is made with a clean grafting knife into one side of the stem. The cut is around 2 to 4 cm. Similarly, healthy scion is selected. The lower needle of scionwood is cleaned, just leaving 5 to 10 needles at the top. Cuts at the basal end of scions on both sides is made to have a V-shaped wedge cut which matches with the rootstock. The scion is then placed into the rootstock and tied together with rubber band for proper cambium to cambium contact. After that, grafting is wrapped with parafilm to prevent the desiccation. Thereafter, proper leveling is done and seedlings were transplanted in a tree pot. A single layer of plastic and shade cloth was used to cover the grafted seedlings to reduce solar heat buildup. The covering was removed once per week for 4 hours to reduce humidity and disease potential. Apical buds of the rootstock was removed after 2 to 3 months. Similarly, after 4 to 5 months of grafting, if the grafts are successful, rootstock is pruned to 1 cm above the graft union. Grafting was performed in February of 2020 and data was collected after a year. If any new growth is observed from scion and it looks healthy, then it was counted successful. It was observed that scions collected from different trees significantly affected the graft take, and tree 4 had highest graft take of 72%. Tree 3 had lowest graft take of around 38%. Similarly, in November 2020, the seedlings which did not succeed in spring were used. Grafting data was collected after 10 months of grafting, and tree 4 had highest graft take of around 76%. However, scions collected from different trees had no significant effect on graft take. Fresh seedlings were obtained from spring 2021 grafting. Grafting was done in February and data was collected after 7 months of grafting. Tree 4 had highest grafting of around 86% compared to other tree. Science collected from different assessments also significantly affected the grafting. Similarly, in June 2021, grafting was done with the leftover scions in the cooler. Mold-free scions were selected for grafting. After grafting in summer, graft union was covered with plastic cover and all pinyon pines were covered with plastic cover and shade cloth. We observed around 83% of grafting. While grafting, there were some problems observed. Some of them I have included here. Some scions had smaller width, like less than 0.5 centimeter, and they had less grafting. Similar case with scions which did not have apical board. These problems should be considered while doing grafting in future. Based on the experiments we conducted, it can be concluded that side-width grafting in both spring and fall had good success rate. If dormant and mold-free scion roots are available, then summer grafting is also possible. In addition, pinyon pine accessions also influence grafting success, and scions from tree 4 had highest grafting. Grafted trees will be transplanted in 3 locations in Utah and they will be evaluated. Okay, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Larry Roop and all collaborators and USU Extension Grant Program, Agricultural Experiment Station, and Center for Water Efficient Landscaping. Thank you all for your time.
All right, that was great. I'm certainly looking forward to the results of this research, helping to make those tasty nuts a lot cheaper. I know I definitely like them in my salads and my pesto. For now, we've got a couple of minutes for questions for Asmita. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to post in the chat? All right, Asmita, looks like we've got 2 questions in the chat. Why don't you read the first one from Richard Criley?
Okay, so I'm Asmita, a graduate student from Utah State University. I got the first question here from Richard, and it is, was the reverse graft made? And I have to say that we haven't made reverse graft. I haven't made, maybe they have done it previously, so not in this project.
All right.
And
well, thanks for that. And
yeah.
Yep, I asked that one because I'm curious myself.
Okay, so it's the question, with a 7 to 10 month period for grafting, when can we expect a follow-up or on more results? Oh, actually, I think I could not make the presentation clearly. It's not 7 to 10 month period for grafting. It's like we did grafting for like 1 week maybe, and we collected data after 7 to 10 months. Actually, we can see the grafting success after 1 month, like if they succeeded or not. But after we see for 1 or 2 months, they succeeded, and gradually sometime they, in like few more months, they do not like grow nicely, or they again fail. So we keep continuing taking the data until 12 months, so that keeps the accurate data after like success. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks a bunch. All right. Well, it looks like we've had a few more people join us, and thanks to you all for being here. In case you missed it, I wanted to mention the IPPS online auction that's starting today and running over the next week. We've had many extremely generous donations to the auction. Just a few to mention include 4 individual $200 gift cards to Fourth Corner Nursery, a delicious looking $250 gift basket donated by T&R Company, 2 cases of plug trays from TO Plastics, a Ray Leach container system with 10 trays and over 1,000 growing cells from Stewie & Sons, and tons more. And a special thanks again to Microplant Nursery for their generous donation that covered all the costs of running the auction online. The link has been posted in the chat so that you can easily open the site. All right. So our next video is from Stephen Folkerts at Linnaea Nursery. This nursery is up in BC and has a huge range of plants that grow from zone 3 to zone 8. They're also performing some really neat research on seed stratification. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Stephen Folkerts, and we are at Linnaea Nurseries, where we have been in business for 22 years. I've been working here myself for, I think, close to 20 of those years. Well, probably my whole life, but full-time about 20 years. And we grow container-grown plants, anything from zone 3 to zone 8. Our specialties that we do are ferns and Pacific Northwest native plants, and so we do a lot of seed work, a lot of stuff we do from cuttings. We do a little bit of grafting, and we do buy some material in. But yeah, that's kind of what we do, and we ship anywhere from BC to Canadian prairies, and as well the east coast of Canada. So we kind of ship nationwide, and that's who we are. Yeah, so this is our propagation house, and this is where cuttings we start kind of first week of June, and we're doing fine in June, and we had that heat wave in July or June 28, 29, somewhere at the end of June there going into July, where we got up to about 55 degrees in there, and I started panicking at about 45 degrees Celsius. So when we got up to 55 degrees Celsius in here, I started panicking, as well as the plants did as well. And so we lost a lot of our cuttings here, and so I had to start from scratch again. And we've pretty much filled it up again. And I can show you if we walk down here. We do know what we are doing, and we do have some success, as long as the temperature agrees with us. And so here are some roses we did after the fact, kind of the first ones we did, and you can see lots of roots on there again. And so yeah, these will be planting up here in the next couple of weeks into 4-inch pots to be moved on into bigger sizes next spring again. So.
I'm Allison. I'm the seed person at Linnaea. This is my drying room. I cure a lot of things in here. This is the warm room we use for processing seeds. Like right now I've got some ginkgo in stratification, and I'm doing an experiment on essential oils and mold growth. This is actually really cool because I put a clove oil soak in this one, and it's really moldy, and I put it on paper in this one, and it's got less. So that's what I'm working on. That was my degree project. Yeah, so I've got some anemone from the Yukon. I think this is Arnica latifolia, also the Yukon. John collected this Holodiscus discolor in the Okanagan. Lumby. Let's see. Siberian aster. Here those guys. This must be. Oh yeah. Yellow Mountain Even. I forget what that's called now. Yeah, Stratus Romondiae. And this is from yarrow from our stock, and some solidago from ours as well. John brought me some Octopanax. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to grow it. It's a 400-day strat, and that's a long time. And then Corylus and Marlacina myanthemum as well.
Thank you. Collection of native plants on the west coast, but in Canada in general. This is Kinnikinnick, which is a ground cover plant. We actually have someone collecting the berries for us in the Yukon territory, which is close to the Arctic Circle. And so seed germination can be a little sporadic, as you can see through these plats here. You hit or miss a lot. So we will take this out. You can see it's fully rooted, and plant that into a bigger pot here. And as you can see, we will we're doing here, put it into we call it a 4-inch pot, and be selling that next spring. We do one of our other specialties we do is ferns. We do about 250,000 ferns in little plugs like this every spring. Oops, and that's not quite rooted in yet. Let's see, that was a little bit better. Still rooting out here in a plug, but eventually we will take those plugs and put them into 4-inch pots here, as you can see. And I think we also do about we're close to 67, 68 different varieties of hardy ferns. We grow a lot of the plants ourselves from rooted cuttings. I'll just grab this plant here. If you see it in a black pot, usually it means we've grown it ourselves from cutting or from seed. And so there's a lot of different plants, whether it's in genre or not. We grow a lot of stuff ourselves. We also have, there's a growing they grow each year. They're bringing new plants in each year of branded products, whether it's proven winners like this plant here in the white pot. We buy that material in and grow it on, and it sells. They do a lot of marketing and market research on these plants, and so they usually sell very well. And we have to bring that in ourselves. As you'll see, some blue pots out farther and such. Those are Blooming Easy or Endless Summer brands. There's lots of brands out there on the market, but they do a lot of market research and a lot of branding and stuff, and it sells very well for us. We also grow a fair number of conifer seedlings from seed. The method we use is how our government uses it for reforestation. We don't do any growing for reforestation. Mostly we use this for this one over here. This is a Norway spruce, which is used a lot for understock of grafting. So we sell most of this to growers to grow on for rootstocks, or this one here is Colorado spruce, and people plant that on their fields and grow them onto 5-6 foot specimen plants. So we use it's called a star block. I believe we're up to about 300,000 cavities of conifer seedlings. So we grow these. They are zone 3 hardy, so they are hardy as all can be, and we pile them for into our prairie provinces. They seem to love you can see some apples on some of these plants already, and these are just 3-year-old trees in pots, but they also love the color of this one here. It's called Midnight Spire, nice dark foliage, and gets no wider than 3 feet. So it's great for small backyards or people who have small spaces.
Yeah, and are these crabs, or are these
crab
these are crabs? Yeah, okay.
Flowering crab. So yeah, they can put a great show on in the spring with their flowers. Yeah. So that's the end of our tour here at Linnaea Nurseries. I thank you for watching this video, and hope you learned something. Or if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. I also think if you want to watch more of these videos, IPPS is a great way to do so. So visit the Western region. Thanks again.
All right, that's great. Dealing with heat up to 55 Celsius, that's 131 Fahrenheit for some of us. I think I'd be panicking too. Let's open it up for a few minutes of questions. I see that there's a couple in the chat. Stephen, are you there? I don't think I saw you on, or are you here, Stephen? Or anyone else from Linnaea? No, I don't think we have anyone from Linnaea here. The only question I saw, let's see, I saw 2 questions. One was from Nancy Schramm. What seed required 400 days stratification? And Douglas Justice answered that, which was Oplopanax horridus, or the Devil's Club. That definitely doesn't sound like a fun one to try to propagate by seed. And there was also a question by Tanya that says, what did you start the ferns in your plug trays from? Douglas, do you know where they source their ferns from?
I don't actually. I don't, but I suspect that they're not doing them from spores themselves, but rather are buying in. I could be wrong, but I didn't see any facility that looked like they would be doing ferns from spores. But there are a number of local fern propagators around the Pacific Northwest. Anyway.
Okay. Oh. And let's see, one more from Larry Rupp that says, I read that less than 10% of the trees needed for reforestation are being propagated. Do you see an increasing market for such trees and possibly moving in that direction? Well, I certainly wish Stephen was here to answer that. And maybe if we can get in touch with him, we'll see if we can get him to jump onto the call, and maybe he can answer that towards the end of the presentation. Well, I think that'll be it for questions, but if you still have a few, we'll hopefully have some time at the end. And our next video is an amazing tour of the TreeSource citrus nursery. Thanks to the group there for providing this inside look at their operation. Here's a look at the team, the facilities, and the dedication it takes to deliver millions of high-quality citrus plants each year. Let's go.
Welcome to TreeSource Citrus Nursery. We're the largest wholesale citrus propagator in the United States. We've been in business in the Central Valley of California for over 20 years. What started as a small nursery servicing our sister farming company has expanded exponentially over the years, and we're not stopping. We are currently in the process of adding additional square footage that will allow us to expand into market sectors that we haven't been able to reach due to space limitations. After our expansion is complete, we'll have approximately 600,000 square feet of growing space indoors. We are USDA and CDFA certified and can ship anywhere citrus is accepted. Almost all of our propagation material is produced right here on location and is part of a citrus clean stock program run by CDFA. With that said, let's start where it all begins, with the seed.
One of the most important parts of our operation is seed. We currently have 454 trees producing 2,000 liters on average per year. All our seed trees are tested on a cycle every year for cirrhosis, citrus tristeza virus, viroids, and citrus greening. Our production managers start evaluating the fruit in the late summer. Once they determine that the seed is ready, that is when we begin harvesting. Not all varieties come off at the same time, so this is a process that typically lasts through September and goes all the way through to the end of January. There are several different seed varieties that are chosen for different attributions they will bring to the tree once grafted. Those can be frost tolerance, disease tolerance, fruit production, or many other reasons. Once the fruit is ready for each variety, it is picked, then run through the seed extractor several times. The seed goes through a water bath and fungicide treatment to prepare it for storage. Seeds are then bagged and placed in cold storage until they are planted.
Once the seed is planted, it now becomes a rootstock seedling. Rootstock seedlings can take anywhere from 4 to 8 months to finish. Our seedlings are grown in some of the most intense houses because we want to keep them pushing throughout the year. In the past, we have budded around 1.5 million seedlings, and they'll soon grow to 3 million. Once the seedlings are finished, they're taken out into the head house to be budded.
Like seed, budwood trees are also part of a citrus clean stock program that is certified through CDFA. They are grown in regulated facilities and meet stringent requirements. Budwood trees are also tested on specific cycles to ensure they are free of disease. We have 5 screen houses and greenhouses that were built specifically to produce budwood. Every bud has a mother tree that it can be traced back to. Mother trees can be used to make budwood increase trees, but those increase trees cannot be used to make budwood trees. So we can cut from the mothers and the daughters, but not the granddaughters. Mother trees do not have an expiration date. However, the increase or daughter trees have a 4-year lifespan in which we're able to cut budwood from them. By the end of this year, we'll have cut just under 2 million buds. With our screen houses, we're able to let our trees go dormant. This allows us to cut buds that are dormant and keep them stored for many months. Once the trees start to flush again, we're able to go back in and start cutting fresh buds to continue propagating. We have one entire greenhouse dedicated to producing fresh budwood year-round.
Here at TreeSource, we do micropropagating, which means we're taking smaller than normal buds and grafting them onto seedlings that have less caliper than they typically would. Seedlings are sorted for quality and size and then brought out to the budding area. Employees go through training that teaches them about bud selection, size, and placement. As you can imagine, it takes a pretty steady hand to master this propagation method. A thoroughly trained employee can bud up to 1,000 liners per day. The trays of seedlings are placed on a rotating table with an employee on each side. One employee is budding the liners, then spins the table to the employee on the other side, who will then go through and tape up each bud. Once the liners are budded, they are transferred to another station where they are topped and sealed with a tree seal. The final step in the process is placing an inventory strip tag on each liner. Each tree produced here gets its own unique ID. That serial number stays with the plant through the whole growth cycle, whether it's transferred to a larger product or shipped out.
Once the budding process is complete, the liners are brought into the greenhouses where they are typically grown for 3 to 4 months. The liners are sorted through in the greenhouse once they start pushing to ensure adequate irrigation and light levels can reach all liners. We are also working to remove all suckers when we are sorting through the liners to ensure they aren't stealing energy that should be going into pushing those buds. The minimum standard for our citrus liner is 5 mature leaves with a fully developed root system. Once we get to that point, the liners are then brought out into the screen hardening off area. In the warmer months, we will harden off all plants for 7 to 10 days before we ship them out. The liners will then be placed on boxes or on racks to be shipped out to customers. They may also be transferred to our larger pots to make a super tree.
Our newest product line here is a rooted cutting. We have been experimenting with them over the last 2 years, have started scaling up this operation significantly. We have been growing them on benches in the greenhouses, but just this year built a facility specifically for producing rooted cuttings. This room is designed for state-of-the-art vertical growing. Plant material is cut, dipped in hormone, and stocked into plug trays. Plants will be stocked and rooted in record time, improving our turnaround time and in turn giving our customers more growing time at their locations. The plants finish in about 6 weeks and are moved out in the screening hardening off area to acclimate before shipment.
These rooted cuttings are grown on racks made by Pip Horticulture. These racks allow us to grow each bench individually and create specific climates and light levels depending on what that particular variety requires. This will also allow us to have plant material in various stages of production, all within the same room, but at different stages of development. In addition to the normal scion varieties, we're producing a variety of clonal rootstocks.
The potting line is one of our best automation features at TreeSource. Our plant media for our larger trees is 100% cocoa core. The machine will break down the core and then it feeds down the line on a conveyor belt down into a hopper. From there, pots are placed onto the conveyor belt and core is fed into the pot filler machine. Once pots are filled, they are set down the line to be pre-irrigated. After the core is wet, it goes through the dibbler. The dibbler drills holes into the core the same size as our cone to make for easier transplanting. These trays are then continually fed down the conveyor belt to the employees who are waiting with trays of citrus liners that will be transplanted into the larger pots. Once transplanted, the trays of super trees will be loaded onto kangaroos, or carts that will take them to the greenhouses where they will be grown out.
Another huge automation win for TreeSource is our M-Track locomotives that run all throughout the nursery. These streamers can pull up to 6 carts, carrying nearly 800 newly planted double-stacked trees, or around 400 finished super citrus trees ready to deliver. These M-Track trains eliminate countless hours of labor moving trees around the facility. The cart can fit right next to the row where the trays are being slid off the benches. Each cart is equipped with wheels to make moving the tray even easier. Once all these carts are full, they're connected to the M-Track trolley. We tell the trolley where to go on a screen built into the dashboard. The trolley then is programmed to follow an underground cable to its destination where it will come to a stop and wait to be unloaded. Once unloaded, the same employee unloading can send it right back to be loaded up again. The M-Track trolleys use machine vision and are programmed to stop if anything gets in their way. To make the M-Track system as efficient as possible, we've installed Rytec Speedy Doors. These doors will automatically open to allow the M-Track to pass.
Super trees were born out of necessity. With Asian citrus psyllid forcing citrus growers to begin growing indoors, we needed an alternative to the large ball and burlap trees that growers were used to. We also knew the space to grow them would be more expensive, so they would have to grow faster than a ball and burlap tree would. The power of the super tree is in the root system. Over the years, we've developed special techniques that go hand in hand with our growing system. A custom pot designed for air pruning the roots allows for a massive root system to develop. These roots are ready to explode as soon as they are planted into the grower's soil. These advances helped us not only make a comparable tree to the old ball and burlap system, but actually surpass it.
The trolleys on the M-Track bring the trees right up to the employees at the shipping area. The trees then go through an assembly line to be topped, sealed, scanned out by their unique barcode, and then packed into tri-walls. The whole loading dock area has been organized by lanes to maximize floor space. Each load or ship ticket gets its own lane. This helps eliminate two loads getting mixed up.
Here at TreeSource, we care about sustainability, and that's why we started a BIOS program in 2014. Using biological pest management is not only good for our workers' safety here, but it's also good for the environment. The BIOS program can take about 3 years to start, but once you implement it, it's very beneficial and you don't worry about the same issues you would with resistance of chemicals.
All of our growing facilities must meet APHIS requirements in order to ship out of state or in between Asian citrus psyllid quarantines. In order to meet those requirements, we must at minimum have screen on all walls that will exclude all insects. All of our entries must have double doors with positive pressure. That ensures that any pests or bugs on someone's clothing are blown off and back out the door before they enter into the facilities. Every 30 days, USDA or CDFA will come out to inspect our facility to ensure there are no holes for any pests to get in, specifically the Asian citrus psyllid. We also have specific breach protocols. If an employee or an inspector sees a hole in any of the facilities, they are to report it right away. We have a team that kicks into gear to repair that hole as quickly as possible. Along with the facility requirements, we were required to treat regularly for any shipments going out of state or to another nursery.
Here at TreeSource Nursery, we're constantly expanding. This year, we're going to do 1.75 million trees. So next year, when phase 2 is complete, we'll be at 3.5 million trees.
Here at TreeSource, we care about our sustainability. Every drop of rain that falls on our structures is collected, filtered, and recirculated back into our irrigation system. Our delivery packaging is 100% recyclable, and our super citrus trees are delivered in 100% recyclable tri-walls. Our nursery containers have a lifespan of about 10 years, after which they can be fully recycled and reconstituted into a plastic container. Our trimmings are shredded, composted, and spread as mulch on the happy citrus acreage surrounding us. The trees we propagate this year will sequester around 5.9 pounds of carbon each. That's around 13,500 tons of carbon every single year, and that number is going to increase over the lifespan of each tree. Thanks for touring the nursery with us here at TreeSource. We look forward to answering any of your citrus-related questions and working with you when you're ready to add citrus to your program.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. It looks like TreeSource beat Tesla to get to self-driving cars first. I'd love to be able to visit this operation at a future IPPS tour. For now, let's open it up for a few minutes of questions for the TreeSource team. Heidi, Joshua, Roger, are you there?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, fantastic. I see one question posted already from Richard Criley.
Can you explain what appears to be the kaolin covered tree? And that is exactly what it's at. Excuse me, exactly what it is. We use it as a sunblock for trees that are going out to grower plantings. We have extreme heat here during our busiest period, so we got to do everything we can to protect those trees.
All right, fantastic. Does anybody else have any other questions for the TreeSource team? Thought I'd give people a minute to type it into the chat, but hopefully I'm not rushing too far ahead here. Well, if anybody pops, let's see, when is your busiest time? Fantastic, from Lexa.
I'll answer that. We wish it wasn't July, but I've been doing nursery for 30 years, and it used to be people planted citrus trees in spring, ending the 1st of July, but for some reason in the last 5-6 years, especially with the greenhouse produced trees, growers have found that these root systems handle the heat, and so they start going about April, and I think we're still shipping even in September, which because citrus are frost sensitive, the idea of getting the tree in the ground and hard and well established before the freeze risk in December means that these late plantings are much more vulnerable to freeze than ones planted earlier. But so our busy season, to answer the question, is summer months, but we wish it was earlier.
All right. Well, I see a couple other questions that, let's see, just below Richard's question, there's one from Aaron Dillon.
How do you want to answer what
yeah, my chat box was behind the screen, and so I was pulling it over and stretching it out.
I'm not seeing chat.
Main beneficials. Do you know the answer to that one, Josh? I know there's predatory mites. I don't know all of the exact ones. Eric sent us a spreadsheet.
Yeah, the main beneficials we're using right now are predatory mites. California.
We also use
and we'll use mating disruptors.
Sorry, I was talking over the top.
Sorry, go.
We're also using nematodes for fungus gnat prevention, and we have used some other ones like lacewings, and at one time we had about 11 different beneficial strategies in place, including BT for control of worms. But with beneficial programs, they kind of ebb and flow depending on the season and depending on the ability to implement them, because they're challenging programs to implement. So we are not actually as good at biocontrol as we were a couple, 3 years ago because of the expansion and a lot of the things that we are doing. So the ones that we have most success with is our mite program, which really reduces the need to use chemical treatments for both two-spot mite, which is probably our biggest challenge.
One of the other challenges we face is because of the required treatments for the psyllid. And if you get an outbreak of another bug, you have to be very careful what you're treating with now, because you have to make sure you don't kill off your beneficial population while you're trying to kill off another population. So that's been another challenge that we've, been trying to juggle, and could be some of the reason why we don't have the same populations that we did a few years ago, like Roger had mentioned.
I'll step in to answer the question. Can you explain the process of testing plants for disease? Who does the testing? See, as Josh had explained in the program, we're part of the CDFA Clean Plant Program, and the testing is done once a year. CDFA sends staff to do the testing, and the testing is done at the CDFA laboratory, and some of the testing is actually done by the University of California in cooperation with the Citrus Clonal Protection Program. So all of our mother trees go through various testing methods depending on what disease they're testing for. We don't do any private testing. We pay for it through the state supported program, and because we're inside insect resistant structures that are certified by both CDFA and USDA, the risk of us having any kind of pathogen that gets into our clean stock is very, very low. And one of the reasons why citrus is so difficult to grow is because it's so highly regulated. And I don't know, those of you on the call, what you would, can you imagine a USDA inspector coming in and dropping in on your property every 30 days? That's what we have to.
Yeah, and in some cases, if you're not self-certified, it's for every single shipment.
Yeah. But we like them. They're not. They become like part of our.
Yeah. We give them a cute.
Well, that definitely sounds challenging to have somebody coming that frequently. But I'm sure the protection of these trees, both while they're growing in the greenhouses, out in the fields, and there's also a question from Tanya about how the trees are protected from pests during shipping.
We can ship two ways. If we're shipping directly to our growers, but we're not leaving our quarantine zone, there's 3 different regions in California: the Southern California region, our central region, and then the northern region, which is not regulated at all because they don't have any citrus greening or Asian citrus psyllid up there. If we are shipping into one of the quarantine zones to a grower directly, we don't really have to protect the trees from anything. In fact, the regulations are incredibly less than if we're shipping to another nursery or a retail nursery. If we're shipping to a retail nursery and they have just open outside growing, we still have to seal those trees in transit. So what we typically do is just throw them in a dry van and close up the truck, and then that works good enough as long as there's no big holes in the truck. We've also covered the plants with frost cloth and delivered them that way as well. If we're going out of state, they require us to seal the load in transit, but we also have to put seals themselves on the truck, the federal seal, before it gets there. So then that seal gets broken at the location and go through all of that. But for the most part, it's just making sure that the plants are protected if they're going to another nursery or another growing operation.
Wow, definitely sounds like some serious business to get plants from A to B. One last question from Lexa.
To somebody who's never done it before, but now that we do it, it's like second nature to us now.
Well, great. And so one final question from Lexa there on your best-selling varieties.
Well, Meyer Lemon is always one of our big ones, just because we call ourselves a wholesaler's wholesaler. A lot of the citrus liners we produce and the cuttings we produce go to other nurseries, other wholesale nurseries that then grow the plants out for the retail trade. And so because of that, Meyer Lemon becomes a pretty popular one. We've also been producing a lot of limes in the last couple of years, which is unusual for us, but we're supplying a operation in Maui that is expanding citrus into the state of Hawaii. And so there's a lot of limes going over there to kind of fill the void of lime supply that is happening in the world due to this HLB or citrus greening diseases taking out a lot of the commercial acreage around the world. Thirdly, we're the exclusive supplier of the variety of tree called the Schireman that provides the sumo fruit in the grocery stores, and it's been a very major, probably about 20% of what our volume is to agricultural customers over the years. And then Heidi, you might want to talk about some of the varieties that are surging. I'll add one more before she jumps in. And the very interesting thing is the Washington Navel, which is considered, was originally released in the late 1800s. That variety is surging back in popularity again in pretty big numbers, surprisingly to us. So it shows that sometimes things that are old are new again. And we probably have maybe about 15 to 20% of our inventory is just a standard good old Washington Navel.
Yeah, and I think that's the same on the retail side too. The Navels, Satsuma mandarins are another big one for us. The Meyer lemons, regular lemons, Alan Eureka lemons, the basic stuff. Typically, we don't get a lot of those odd requests in big numbers. If we get odd requests, they're small quantities, which typically make us happy because we don't want to do the odd stuff in big quantities anyways, because it's usually harder to propagate. So it's mainly the main things on our best-selling side.
Well, fantastic. Thanks so much for all three of your time to take on so many questions. And that's kind of it for what we've got here. Thanks to everyone for being here with us. One final plug for the online auction starting in just about an hour. And thanks again to our generous sponsors for their donations. And yeah, thanks for coming to this event. I hope to see you in Portland next year and at the next Western Region micro meeting. From all of us on the executive committee, thanks again for your time, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.